Right, welcome back. If you've just joined us, we're in Woodmead today, which is just north of Johannesburg, and we're talking about DTT. So there's 3,700 families right now that are watching digital terrestrial television. They're not on analog anymore, and so they've got their pictures in HD. My face is crystal clear, which might not be a great thing if they have close-ups, but that's the age that we're in now, and so this reality started happening. Minister Muthambi took over this project, I think about 18 months ago, and she's managed to roll it out in record time, it seems. It took the UK 10 years to get this right, and it's going to take us much less time. But we want you to be part of that conversation, so if you've got any questions, issues around it, let us know at Morning Live SABC, #TNABizBrief, and we'll pick up your questions. But before we carry on, we just want to get a sense, audit outcomes as well. Tell us, how did the Auditor General view your department?
You see, there is this narrative to say nothing is happening in this department. The department is falling apart. And you normally ask yourself, what is it? And this impression that I'm the Minister of SABC. I'm not the Minister of SABC. I'm the Minister of Communications, under which there's a Department of Communication, there's a Department of Government Communication and Information Systems, then there's the SABC, there's Brand South Africa, there's the Films and Publication Board, there's the Independent Communication Authority of South Africa, and then there's the MDDA. Then, you know, there's the PFMA that has to be complied with most of the time. And then it's about your governance structures that you put in place. And then I want to share with you, Peter, with pride to say, out of those 5 entities that I do oversight on, including the Department of Communication got a clean audit. The Department of Government Communication and Information Systems got a clean audit. Brand South Africa got a clean audit. Then MDDA, Films and Publication Board, and ICASA got an unqualified audit opinion. And then coming to the SABC, there's a narrative that people don't understand. When we took over, since 2014, when we started, the SABC at that particular time had a disclaimer audit opinion. And then we managed to push it from the disclaimer audit opinion to an audit opinion 2014-15 that then has a qualified audit opinion with 9 qualifications. From there, the SABC was able to move from 9 qualifications to 3. Now, as we speak, the SABC is in a qualified audit opinion with only 1 qualification. And that's progress, because if you check, the AG is saying that this, because we have put in systems in the department, wherein there's the CEO's DG forum. It means the DGs of the 2 departments and the CEOs of the 5 entities, they meet to deal with the issue of governance, and that's why they compete amongst each other. That also deal with the issue of the CFOs forum, that is chaired by the CFO of DOC, wherein all the CFOs of these other entities sit together. And then also on our part, as the ministry, we have got the governance model wherein throughout then we meet with the board so that we make sure there's this compliance. But then, what is clean audit? Clean audit is to deal with the delivery on the ground. It's about something that you can see that is happening. I think I need to again repeat this to say, last week there was a breakfast forum here, wherein the narrative said that the SABC was proud about the 400 million loss. Can I clarify that now so that people understand what to say? Because I hear the executive were bragging about the 4 million loss, and which people don't understand. So this is how it happens. It only meant that the previous financial year, SABC had 1.3 billion in the bank account. Now, as they were audited, they had 881 million. Then there's that missing link of 411 million. What happened to this 411 million? You know you don't plan for a state funeral. You don't. And then that funeral, because it's a matter of national interest, it has to be broadcasted. Where does the money come from? Because that is not. You remember under the year under review, there were a lot of state funerals that the SABC had to cover. That also has to deal with your sports of national interest. When you're a national team, you don't plan for that because you don't know whether the team is going to win. Then the SABC have successfully to bring these sports of national interest to the communities. But what I like about it, the viewers at home, people on the ground, because some of us who interact with them, they are able to see this good work that the SABC is doing. So then there was another project that the SABC has successfully delivered on, elections. There was no money allocated by Treasury for the SABC to run elections. But I don't hear any people saying how the SABC has managed to bring the elections back to the people at their respective home. But the beauty about it, ordinary people on the ground, not the elite, are able to feel and experience this. And this is what we would say the SABC has done extensively well in making sure that this developmental communication objective is realized. Basically, that's what we're trying to say.
All right, so what you're saying is that the losses are accounted by extraordinary items such as state funerals and the elections that weren't budgeted for. Okay, all right.
Okay.
Gentlemen, you are DGs of various departments within the Department of Communications. The AG, how did you measure up? Let's start with you, DG.
Thank you, Peter. I think before I respond to your question, I think as the DOC, we only start operation as from the 1st of February 2015. It was our first year where we were audited as a department. And indeed, with the leadership that we have, we were able to achieve a clean audit as a department. And I think we are very humbled by that. I think the tribute should go to the men and women who work in the DOC, who work tirelessly to ensure that in our first year of operation, we're able to get a clean audit. And I think we are grateful for the team that we have in the DOC. I think I must say also the team that we are there at the GCIS, who really helped the DOC to find its footing and be able to get the things right, as we move along. And I think we're working under very difficult, conditions. If I can tell you how big is our budget as a department, it's very small. It's about 75 million rand for the entire department, of which 15 million of that is for goods and services. You can that's probably one project that you can fund. But we're able to utilize the resources that we have, men and women, to do the actual work and get this thing. So I think it's quite a phenomenal achievement for us. And I think in doing so, Peter, we never used consultants as we do the work. When other departments are formed, you have to go and get organizational development consultants and all of those things. We were doing the work actually ourselves, as it were, which was another achievement. So it is really a humbling experience. We can always say thanks to the minister once again for leading this team. But what we've also done is to say it can't only be us as the DOC who achieves all of these things. This must also permeate into our entities. You will recall the minister last year announced a campaign, Operation Clean Audit, in the portfolio. That's why she spoke about all the entities, as it were. But we then say we don't only stop at talking, but we must ensure that we also put systems and structures together. The minister spoke about the DG CEOs Forum, the CFO, but we also ask the entities themselves to develop an audit action plan, which is monitored and evaluated whenever the minister meets with the board. They have to report on how far are they in terms of addressing all the things that the AG has raised. And I think we've been able to see huge improvement, amongst. I think it's a matter of time that, Minister, the SABC move into unqualified and clean audit. And I think we are quite confident with the management that is there and the way we're working, they're listening to us and all of those things. But we also established that a company secretaries forum where we are looking at issues of governance within our entities so that we can deal with all of those matters as it were. And another structure that we have is the policy and regulatory forum where we look at all policy related matters in the space. And this is the communication and marketing, which is chaired by the DG of GCIS around that. So we put in place systems in place that will assist us to get to a point where this portfolio is able, in a few years' time, be able to say the entire portfolio has got clean audit. Right. I think it will be a major achievement for us. Thank you so much, Peter.
So you're close to that. DG, your thoughts?
Peter, I think you need to look at the context. So where is it that we are? Now, if you've been reading the reports that came out of the AG was in Parliament and he did a presentation on the overall performance of government. Only 10 departments actually achieved a clean audit. Of those 10, 2 are in this portfolio. So it really makes you look a lot closer at what are some of the successful components of this milestone. So firstly, it's about leadership. And I'm quite happy a lot of the team that is behind this are here with us today. But you have to have a very focused executive authority who gives guidelines on what should be achieved. And the less cluttered those goals are, the easier it is as leadership to focus your respective teams around those targets. The second thing is around developing an organizational culture that understands that audit is part of the process of the business. It's not an event. It's something that you build into your plan and you're continuously monitoring over the 12 months. So in this setup that we've developed, we are assessing on a monthly basis and reporting to DPME as well as to National Treasury what the individual indicators are in each of the entities and organizations. It's a very interesting and an important management methodology because what it does is it allows people to focus on service delivery. So if at the outset you're able to develop indicators that talk to the mandate of that department, you are then poised to actually focus on how is it that we can best deliver government services to the people. What is also interesting in the approach that we've adopted is that the function of internal audit is elevated. So when we talk in business terms, we talk about the C-suite. So it'll be the Chief Executive Officer, the CFO, and the Chief Audit Executive. So it's critical that those three are aligned. And the role then of internal audit is to actually strengthen systems throughout the organization. So it's not an interrogation, it's not a fault-finding mission. It's one that is focused on intensifying the operating performance of the organization. So it requires a very different kind of mindset, and I think we've embraced it, and we're looking at continuous self-improvement.
Wonderful. All right, we're going to take a break shortly, but Minister, before that, we've talked about the SABC. Let's just unpack some of the things that have been in the news so that we can get it out of the way. Auditor General is a Chapter 9 institution. The Public Protector is also a Chapter 9 institution. The State of Capture report has something about the SABC. There's a red flag there. Your reaction to what's come out of there? There seems to be, in her view, a worrying relationship between the SABC and the New Age. Your thoughts about that? Is that a concern?
You recall this partnership comes a very long way. The other time we were in Parliament while we were MPs, long ago, this issue of the relationship between the SABC and the New Age was raised. But for us, you know the SABC has got reach to South Africans. even before this DTTH. Everyone, like this program is being shown on SABC2. It means the most deepest rural people in the villages. Like you said earlier to say, the people seated here are representative of those people that are there at home. They will ask questions on their behalf. So this initiative, we commended it then when we still MPs to say, it's one project that as South Africans we are so proud of, because when you are talking about universal access, this is what this program actually does. Because you remember there are people that you bring normally in your show, at times you talk about empowerment of people, and that has to deal with the most vulnerable groups that are there in the villages, in the rural. Yeah, for the elite, they might challenge that. But for us, I think this has been a very good partnership.
Are you concerned, though? Because the issue really is that there's impropriety in the relationship, not the outcome of the project itself, but the relationship between the SABC and the New Age. There's some impropriety there.
You remember that report is not conclusive.
Okay.
And then I think that has to be proved, because also when I'm sitting as an executive doing oversight of on the SABC, I've never seen, we check that whether I did complain. Remember there was a competition matter on it as well.
All right. So the other issue is the portfolio committee in Parliament has also been quite scathing about the way the SABC has been run. You're the shareholder on our behalf. In a normal company, we would be concerned if we went from 12 directors down to 3. That would be a sign that something is terribly wrong. Are you concerned that we're down to 3 directors now?
But you recall, that one is a question of choice. When people are resigning. Because since I've taken over as a shareholder, I've never received any complaint from those directors. I've attended shareholder meetings with those directors, wherein if there are issues that are not going on well, they had an opportunity. Apart from me attending a shareholder meeting, they had the whole opportunity as the shareholder to contact me, to communicate with me. But under the circumstances, remember this is the method that Parliament has just taken a decision on the ad hoc committee. I'm still there. I'm still listen. Yeah. But you must remember also to say the SABC is also governed by the Companies Act. And then Section 66(4, it's very clear, because remember, what is happening currently, Parliament is in the process of dissolving the board. While they are doing that, then it doesn't negate the functionality of the board in terms of the Companies Act. That's why I'll urge you to go under Section 66(4. It also says in case where there's conflict in legislation, because you remember the SABC was registered as a company in terms of the new Companies Act. Then the Companies Act takes precedence. Then in terms of company law, as long as the available directors are there,
so they can form a quorum.
The law allows them to take decision. It doesn't negate the authority to do that. So there's nothing that you cannot be worried, because this narrative to say the board doesn't exist is nowhere to be found in terms
so
of
do you think the portfolio committee's got it wrong that there's a problem?
No, I'm not going to say the portfolio got it wrong. I think you are quoting me out of context. But to say that there's a law that caters for that. And then we cannot pronounce on behalf of the portfolio committee, because this is what the portfolio committee is going to probe and inquire on it. The ad hoc committee is decided by Parliament yesterday, and these issues will come up.
All right, perhaps let me ask you another way. Jackson Muthambi suggests that the SABC is an entity that's of concern. Are you concerned?
The SABC, mine, you remember when I took over office, was to make sure that governance matters are adhered to in terms of the... And I think the AG will come to my rescue. Given the report that the AG submitted, that you can see there's been commitment with the current management and the existing board to make sure that governance matters are attended to. And when you check where we come from, where the SABC was bailed out by government, you know that people must remember that history. To find the SABC, which is of now a going concern, which has got a net asset balance of over 2.5 billion, and the cash over 881 million. To me, on the governance, you remember in the past the SABC couldn't even meet their contractual obligation. You didn't get bonuses for quite some time, but you know for now you are able to get some bonuses.
Right.
Yeah, so on that side, on my part, I think as a shareholder and the board, that's where I'm very much concerned on the governance matter and compliance with the laws and legislation. That's where we are. And
Right.
there are reports that are audited by independent Auditor General of South Africa that support what I'm saying.
Okay, all right. We'll leave it there. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll start addressing your questions at home and also the audience that's sitting here. And let's see what your thoughts are about what you've heard today. Stay with us.